So the topic on which my talk is about Aadhaar, a platform, a tool for social and financial inclusion for residents as well as good governance for the state. Uh, my talk will mainly focus about how Aadhaar has helped social and financial inclusion of residents of our country, especially those who are living in very, very remote and rural areas. And also, I'll be focusing on the ecosystem which was created by UIDAI, which actually helped achieve these milestones. So let us first talk about Aadhaar enrollment ecosystem. So as even Kiran was mentioning that in 2009, uh, Aadhaar was conceived through a executive order. The one of the challenge at that point of time was that you have to enroll more than a billion population, which is spread across the country. So, and you have to go physically because you have to collect their biometrics, collect their other demographic information. It was not possible to do something online. So physically you have to reach out to all those uh, population, 1.2 billion population at that point of time. So there were two options. The option one was that create your own offices at every nook and corner of the country, every district, every block and taluka. But the problem was that it would have taken many years to just build your office. The other option available was that why not create an ecosystem who can help you enroll for Aadhaar. So the UID chose the second option to create an ecosystem. And the best ecosystem for UID was that the organizations who are already in the field of those who are serving residents for some or other purposes. So those organizations were state government who already have services to their citizens. Then there are banking sector who is reaching out to such residents, post offices and other organizations, financial sector organizations. So UIDI appointed these organizations as registrars, and then UID also created ecosystem of enrollment agencies. So through empanelment process, which UID used to run, so they used to empanel agencies. They were mainly private companies, the big companies like Carvi, Wipro, and many more. And even the smallest company like a proprietorship company or partnership companies were eligible to be empaneled as enrollment agency, but their tire will be different. So so the work they will get will be smaller compared to the bigger company. So UIDI created those ecosystem which registrar used to appoint. They were just look at UIDI website that who all are empaneled and they can just hire them. And these agencies were actually opening enrollment center in every nook and corner of the country. And this ecosystem came handy for UIDI to reach out to a very, very large population of our country. The UIDI focus, other than creating ecosystem, was creating standard software, standard processes, creating ecosystem of devices, biometric devices, certification of operators, certification of devices. So all those ecosystem was created by UIDI, which was helping uh, enrollment to happen across the country. The other aspect, as I said, was inclusion. So while designing Aadhaar, that what all parameters, what all demographic parameter or biometric parameter would be collected, uh, so it was kept in mind that it has to be inclusive. I should not ask a particular information which a normal resident, a rural resident cannot give. So through a larger debate wherein people from private sector, people from government sector were there, they decided that they will collect only bare minimum information, demographic information, which is name, address, gender, date of birth. So in UIDI, we have seen that many countries have visited us and they were asking that why you do not collect, say, blood group, because that will become very, very kind of a useful when there is some accident or something. The answer to their question we used to give is that in case we mandate blood group also as part of Aadhaar enrollment, then many of the residents of our country do not know their blood group. So they will be excluded. Whereas our program is inclusive program. We want to enroll everyone in the country to be part of Aadhaar system. So that's how we collect only bare in minimum information, which is actually required to give a digital ID called Aadhaar. The second thing is the document which we collect as a proof is also very, very wide. Whatever document is available in our country can be used for Aadhaar enrollment mostly. So many of our citizens do not have any document, particularly the rural fellows. So there may be document with head of the family member, but there may not be document with children or wife of that particular resident. So Aadhaar allowed head of family based enrollment. If HOF, the head of family has enrolled, he can introduce his family members and they can be enrolled just based on the introduction of the head of family. The third aspect was how to enroll people on the road. I mean, those who are homeless and all. So there was an introducer system. So many of the NGO who are taking care of such a group of unprivileged residents, they can introduce. So there was a concept of introducer system wherein those agencies can actually introduce and Aadhaar can be generated. So the Aadhaar has been an inclusive system. So the entire design from day one was to include everyone into the system. So as I said that we collect bare minimum demographic. In addition, of course, we collect 10 fingerprint, two of your iris, that we call core biometrics. And optionally, we collect mobile and email. And the deduplication process which UIDAI run is based on the 10 fingerprint and two iris. Of course, there is also demographic deduplication, but I just wanted to tell you that what kind of platform Aadhaar would be having for those who are not familiar with Aadhaar platform. Uh, let us take an example. Today we have more than 125 crore Aadhaar. So that means that we have 12 biometrics attribute of every resident, every 125 crore residents. And if one resident enrolled today with 12 biometrics, so we have to compare these 12 biometrics of the individual who had just enrolled with the 12 biometrics of all 125 crore residents. So that means for deduplicating one enrollment, so if you just multiply 125 crore into 12 into 12, it will be 1800 crores of transactions for just one deduplication process. So what kind of compute and other infrastructure required at the backend you can just conceive. And of course, while designing Aadhaar, the privacy was one of the concern, and that's why the Aadhaar system do not collect any other information like religion, caste, tribe, language, etc. So only the bare minimum information is collected. And as I said, it is an inclusive program, so even a newborn child can get an Aadhaar. Of course, the core biometric, that is iris and uh, uh, fingerprints, are not collected, but only the facial photograph is collected, and child Aadhaar is actually linked to the one of the parent, either mother or father. In case there is no mother, father, then with the guardian. And of course, when child turn age 5 years, so we call it mandatory biometric update. He has to come again and give the biometrics. And again, at the age of 15, biometrics are collected, all because at the age of 15, biometrics are actually formed up. And after that, it do not really changes in most cases. So now let us talk about, so once you have enrolled for Aadhaar, you can use authentication services of UIDAI. So here also, let me talk about the ecosystem. So as you may be knowing, or Kiran was talking about Aadhaar, that the Aadhaar authentication platform is also based on API, so that the entire ecosystem can connect on API to UIDAI system. Uh, so to create ecosystem, so UIDAI has actually onboarded a very large number of authentication service agency. Those entities are connected on leased line to UIDAI server, and from ASAs, the other entities called AUA, authentication user agency or KYC user agencies are connected. And then you have different point of presence where you use the authentication services. So if you look at the number, so you already have 184 AUAs, 23 ASAs, and 169 KUAs who were part of the ecosystem, and actually doing authentication for different resident services being run by different ministries, different other service providers, which I'll talk about in the later slides. So Aadhaar offers multimodal authentication services. So maybe authentication is possible based on biometrics, maybe one fingerprint or more than one fingerprint, based on iris, based on demographic, even based on mobile OTP. So normally the answer from UIDAI of the authentication is yes or no, but there is also service called eKYC, which all of you may be aware. In based on the resident consent, so his information like name, date of birth, gender, address, and his photograph is passed on to the service agency based on his consent, right? So it's a consent driven sharing of the data. If he do not want to consent for that, UIDA will not pass it on, right? So the question is that uh, how much this authentication is being used. So if you look at the number, so 48 billion authentication has happened so far. So that means a very, very large number of agencies are using Aadhaar for offering various services. And every day we see more than 30 million authentication through these agencies. And then since these devices, this point of presence for authentication will be located all across the country in the rural area where connectivity may be poor, the connectivity part may be poor. So the design part of the APIs uh, of the authentication are such that it supports even the lowest possible connectivity, maybe GPRS, Edge, 2G, 3G, and all kind of connectivity it works. So even on a 2G connectivity, in case you have a 2G connectivity, this Aadhaar authentication system will actually work. And as far as devices are concerned, so there are a lot of devices which can be used. So these are the discrete devices which can be connected to any laptop, desktop, or tablet or mobile phone, and that becomes a authentication device. You can have this device, this POS-like device where you have a fingerprint already inbuilt. It also have other facility. So many kind of form factor of devices are possible to be connected for authentication services. So let us talk about where we are in terms of Aadhaar enrollment and authentication. So let me just talk about, as I said that in 2009, UIDAI was conceived. So the first Aadhaar which was issued was in September 2010. So that means within 1 year plus the entire system, that is the backend system was built, and also the ecosystem for the field was created, and then the first Aadhaar was issued. And if you look at this number, as Kiran was talking about, that it took almost 5 to 6 years to reach out to 1 billion. So it was April 16 when we uh, issued 100 crore, that is the 1 billion Aadhaar. So of course it took 5 years, but it was exponential growth. So every day, there was a point of time when we were clicking 2 million Aadhaar enrollment every day in 13, 14 when I was in Aadhaar. So it was almost 2 million Aadhaar enrollment every day. So now today we are more than 126 crore Aadhaar, and now it has actually flattened. So Aadhaar issuance has flattened, but So overall aspect has not come down because now we are getting update request, more of a update request into Aadhaar compared to the Aadhaar generation. If you look at this India map, so entire country has actually been covered with 126 crore Aadhaar, except few states in northeast part, which is they have just started, and perhaps in coming days they will also become saturated. So in terms of number, as I said, we already have 127 crore Aadhaar. And so if you look at this number, so every month about 3 million new Aadhaar gets generated, and those are coming from northeastern part of the country and some bigger states where there is some left out population. As I said that now the focus has shifted onto the update. So every day, every month, so about 17 million Aadhaar update requests come to UIDAI. These are the successful update. There may be certain rejections also. So in total, if you look at the total number of update which UIDAI has done so far is 15.7 crore update requests. So more than 10-12% of the enrollees have actually have gone for Aadhaar update at least once. If you look at authentication figure, as I said that 48 billion authentication requests UIDAI has actually served, and as I said that every day more than 3 million such 30 million such authentications are being catered to by UIDAI. Of course, it has capacity to handle 10 crore authentication a day as of now, which can be scaled up because the design is a scalable one. So every month you have 100 crore of such transactions, and about 8 to 10% of such authentications are actually the eKYC. So wherein you transfer the basic eKYC detail of the residents to the service provider. So it is about if you just see this number, so it is about 8 to 10 crore authentication every month. Now, this is very, very interesting if you look at this particular graph. So, who are the agencies actually doing these authentications? So, who are the ASAs or AUAs? So if you look at this number, this is November figure I have taken from the UIDAI dashboard. So if you look at this number, the 400 million authentication transaction was done by NPCI. So when we saw NPCI, it is a banking sector. All banks are actually connected to NPCI. So NPCI is an ASA and all the banks are AUA. So they are connected to this particular NPCI platform. So 400 million transactions in the month of November. So you can just imagine that what kind of financial transactions are happening on UIDAI platform through NPCI. So these are mainly the eKYC, which is done for enrolling new customers, or there is a service AEPS, the banking service, which is I'll talk about. So you can just imagine that for financial inclusion, so much transactions are happening every month. The other entities are the major one is NIC. So NIC is catering to all the state government and all the central government ministries. So these are mainly the welfare program of the government, which like Pahal scheme, or maybe the scholarship scheme, or maybe Ujjwala scheme. So their Aadhaar is used. So all those authentications are coming, or the health program which Kiran talked about. So these auth requests are coming from those welfare schemes. So that is also more than 300 million transactions per month. So this is kind of a social inclusion, and this is a kind of a financial inclusion which Aadhaar is helping. So let me talk about now social and financial inclusion part in a slightly more detail. So if you look at Aadhaar as a platform for banking, so there are three aspects of Aadhaar which is used in the financial sector or for the banking services. One is the access. When we say access, that means that you can open a bank account through a paperless process within a 2 minutes. So you can just, based on your Aadhaar eKYC, you put your fingerprint and Aadhaar number, and then your account gets opened. So that we call access, or your account. You open an account which is Aadhaar enabled, AEBA, Aadhaar enabled bank account. And in case you already have an existing bank account, you can connect to Aadhaar just by submitting your Aadhaar to your bank. So it becomes an Aadhaar enabled bank account. And once it has become Aadhaar enabled, then you can use this platform for banking transactions. So the second part is that once you have connected your bank account to Aadhaar, your Aadhaar number becomes a financial address. So you don't need a bank account or IFSC code or MICR code for banking transactions. So the example is that every month the government of India transfers subsidy benefit to the bank account of beneficiary. So they don't require any other information than Aadhaar. So the based on just Aadhaar number, they are able to transfer those amount G to C, government to citizens, in a click of the button. So it's very kind of easy way which Aadhaar has. Aadhaar and NPCI, of course, the platform is run by NPCI. As far as Aadhaar is concerned, the authentication part of it is used. And the third is most important is the banking transactions. So there is a platform called AEPS, Aadhaar Enabled Payment Systems, which enables, based on your Aadhaar number, you can deposit money, you can withdraw money, or you can even open a bank account using a small device, phone-like device or a POS-like device, which is carried by Bank Mitra to remote and rural areas. I'll just talk about that in upcoming slides. So as I said that the government is able to transfer the subsidy part of it directly into the bank account of beneficiaries. So far, if you look at the mapping or the connectivity of unique individual Aadhaar onto their bank account, so more than 71 crore of individuals have actually linked their bank account number, at least one bank account number to Aadhaar. So number of bank accounts connected with Aadhaar will be more than this, more than 100 crore. But these are the unique ones. So I may have say 3, 4 bank account, and in all bank account my Aadhaar is linked. But one of the account, it goes for the NPCI mapper, wherein all those subsidies. So that becomes an account where I can receive government benefit or any payment or any transactions based on Aadhaar payment breeze comes to that bank account. So 70, that means, so every household of the country, at least the member, major member of that household family has connected his account so that he is enabled to receive any kind of subsidy benefit from the government. So far, 712 crore transactions of Aadhaar payment bridge, which is G2C transfer, has happened so far, and every month 10 to 12 crore such transactions are actually happening. And this is a kind of form factor of the micro ATM. We call it micro ATM. This is AEPS enabled device, Aadhaar enabled payment system, wherein this device is this kind of device. So this can also work on a simple mobile phone with a fingerprint connected to it, is carried by individuals, and they go to the remotest part of the country, and basic banking services like uh, withdrawal of money, deposit of money is possible. So if you look at this particular photograph, so this is, he is a bank mitra. So there are about 35 crore such bank mitras who are going to remotest part of the country, as government is transferring money into the bank account of the beneficiaries as part of LPG scheme, Ujjwala scheme, or the social assistance program. So these fellows are residing in the remotest part of the country. There is no bank or ATM where they can withdraw the money. So these kind of individuals, 35 lakh such individuals are going with this kind of device, POS kind of device, wherein just based on Aadhaar number and fingerprint, the lady can actually withdraw the money, or in case she want to deposit, she can deposit. And this device is also capable of opening a new bank account paperless in 2 3 minutes. The good part of this system is that it is interoperable. So when I say interoperable, this means that the person may belong to say Axis Bank and the lady may have bank account in State Bank of India. Still, she'll be able to withdraw the money or deposit the money. So that is a kind of interoperability which has been built, and almost all the most of the banks are part of it today, and even the payment banks or small finance banks are part of it. And I'll tell you in the later slide that how it has actually helped uh, uh, our uh, during the COVID period, or in other difficult time, how this AEPS system has actually helped people. So as part of direct benefit transfer of the government of India, so Aadhaar is used for mainly two purposes. The first purpose is as identifier, so as an identity document. So when they seed Aadhaar into the database of beneficiary, so they are able to deduplicate and cleanse databases. So all those fake entries or duplicate entries are actually removed. So that is the purpose. And on account of this, there's a lot of saving, because earlier, I mean, in most beneficiary databases, there'll be a multiple entry of same beneficiary, or there would be fake entries of the beneficiary. So that is being taken care using Aadhaar. And the second is that uh, if the scheme mandates certain transactions every month, so their Aadhaar is used. For example, uh, the cash transfers in case of LPG or Manrega, which is Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, or maybe the Social Assistance Program. So every month or bi-monthly, certain amount is transferred by the government, state or central government, to the bank account. So where Aadhaar is used as a financial address in most cases. And the other kind is that the in-kind transfer, for example, the PDS, subsidized grain, which is given to the BPL families of our country. So that is given based on the fingerprint-based Aadhaar authentication. So that is done every month whenever resident is going to collect his or her part of ration. Uh, that authentications happens. Okay, so this chart I have taken from dbtbharat.com. It's a Government of India website. So in year 2020-21, if you look at the numbers, so government has transferred more than 2 lakh crore. Just imagine this number, 2 lakh crore of rupees to these individual, and there was 182 crore transactions for transferring this much amount, and these were part of 336 government of India and state government scheme run by 51 ministries, right? And these, so if you look at, although there are 336 scheme, but the major scheme are Pahal, Ujwala, PDAs, fertilizer, Manrega, scholarship, and social assistance program. So with use of Aadhaar and DBT, direct benefit transfer, and Aadhaar, so government of India in different schemes, if you look at different schemes, there has been savings. So government, if you just go to dbtbharat.com, so they keep updating how much saving government of India has actually accrued by using DBT and Aadhaar. So the current figure is, although it is slightly uh, older figure, now it is 1,78,000 crores of rupees has been saved by government of India under different schemes. You can look at these numbers. So it is more than 24 billion US dollar which government of India has saved as part of DBT and Aadhaar. And these saved monies are being used to reach out to more poor fellows, give more subsidy, or enhance the scheme to larger population. So that is helping government of India reach out to more and more needy residents. So now I'll talk about how Aadhaar is helping in difficult times and also becoming part of disaster management. So these figures are of Chennai flood. If you recall, few years back there was a Chennai flood, and then there was a Kerala flood. So the AEPS system. So in Chennai, so all those banks were also not able to open, and then people were in need of money. So there, this kind of person, he is a bank mitra with a handheld device. They visited part of the city and disbursed uh, uh, the amount to residents of the Chennai at that point of time. And similar thing happened in the Kerala flood also. So if you look at Chennai, so they disbursed 4 crores of rupees to 12,000 residents in few days. Those were needy persons. And in Kerala flood, actually, the Kerala government had actually started. So Kerala had, I mean, the people had lost all their documents, their ration card, their other entitlement documents, and they were not remembering what to do. So so the government of Kerala had started giving those documents, duplicate copy of those documents based on Aadhaar. So UIDI started a camp in various part of Kerala along with the Kerala government, and we issued e-Aadhaar again to most of the residents, and based on that they were able to procure all other document, and system started very, very quickly. So let us talk about the COVID period. So in the COVID period, how Aadhaar helped. So this particular graph is of AEPS, Aadhaar Enabled Payment System. I showed you a picture wherein one bank Mitra was uh, kind of helping poor residents withdraw their money using this handheld device. So that kind of transactions every month prior to this lockdown March was about 200 million per month. Uh, After lockdown was announced, so most banking sectors, the banks and ATMs were actually closed or they were not having cash. So people were in trouble. At that point of time, this AEPS actually came handy, and the transaction of AEPS immediately jumped to double. So even in the urban areas, there's I mean, Bank Mitra help people withdraw their money or do certain banking transactions, and it went to 400 million per month. And now, after opening of lockdown, it is again tapering down and going to the steady state. And if you look at certain media coverage, so one of the media coverage, they had written in June that AEPS outdoes ATMs digital payments during COVID-19, and it is the right news. So now I'm coming to few of the last slide where I'll be talking about how Aadhaar has helped reuniting missing children, right? Not only children but even the adult. So, if you look at some of the reports, so 180 children go missing every day in India. That's a figure which is known. And in Delhi, this is an earlier report of a newspaper. 22,000 children went missing in last 3 years, and 9,000 of them were not untraced. But now Aadhaar has started helping. Uh, uh, Trace these missing children, and how it happens is, like, for example, if you enroll these children, suppose these children are lost in child care institutions or orphanage, and mostly for those children who are mentally challenged, who cannot tell about their address or the parents name, if they have already enrolled for Aadhaar prior to they got missed, if you re-enroll them again, UID is able to match the biometrics and then finally tell you the original Aadhaar where you can get address and even in most cases phone number of their parents, and then you can reunite the children. So hundreds of such children were reunited. There was a story of one aged individual. He was reunited. He was residing in Bareilly, and he was from Chennai. He was reunited. When he was reunited, he was a kind of a millionaire. So, but because of the mentally, he was a mentally challenged. He was not able to tell his address or his details. So a lot of so there is a lot of news items you might have read about such wherein Aadhaar has helped reuniting such children and adults. So with this, this is my end of slide. I hope I'm on time.
Yep. We can take a few questions now, Ashok. So
Yeah,
thank you so
sure.
much for this. So just quickly going over some of the questions that have been upvoted. The first one is, would Aadhaar be used for elections so that people can e-vote? it can bring down the election cost dramatically. What do you think about
Yeah,
that?
yeah, good question. So basically, the first question is that uh, so whether Aadhaar can be used for election purpose. So be it for e-voting or be it for even cleansing of the database. So it's a very recent. The election commission is in talk with legal ministry, wherein they want to actually seed Aadhaar onto their database so that they are able to clean, and in future they may use for other purposes which you are talking about. So it is in process. So we don't know the outcome, but election commission is keen to do that, and they are talking to law ministry for this purpose. I just want to add that any ministry or any department or any scheme, if they want to use Aadhaar, actually there has to be a law around that. In case election commission want to use it, then in their law, whatever law under which law they are operating, the law itself has to has a provision that they will collect Aadhaar number. For example, I'll give you example. Income Tax Act was actually amended, and then they mandated Aadhaar as part of PAN or as part of income tax filing, right? So there has to be a law because you have to comply to Supreme Court order, wherein unless you have a law, you cannot use Aadhaar, right? In basically, when I say Aadhaar, that means Aadhaar authentication. For a use of Aadhaar, just like a card is not a problem, but when you have to touch UIDAI server for authentication, there has to be a law.
Got it. Cool. Next one is about I have heard directly from the members of cybercrime to avoid cybercrime, do not give the number given in Aadhaar for banks. What are your thoughts about that?
No, I mean, so a lot of campaign is run by RBI and other entities that one should not share OTP and all. So even if your Aadhaar is say compromised or bank account is compromised, that doesn't mean that somebody can intrude into your bank account or your Aadhaar. So unless you share your OTP or the transactional password which you have, so it is not possible that somebody can breach. But of course, uh, for example, when you issue a check, your check is having a bank account number, right? But you see a check to a trusted person, right? Whenever you see a check, you issue to a trusted organization or a person. So you are just not writing your bank account number on your social media presence, right? So you give it. So in a similar way, when you give Aadhaar, you are giving to the service providers. They are also trusted, right? So they are supposed to not disclose your Aadhaar to anybody else. So it is right that knowingly you should not expose your Aadhaar, right? Because Aadhaar is also your financial address, just like your bank account number, as I said, in case you have connected. Uh, uh, but uh, but please do not disclose that on a social platform. So that's right.
Got it. Cool. A couple of more questions we can take. Did Citizenship Amendment Act create challenges in increasing Aadhaar outreach across the nation?
So I don't know, Citizenship Amendment Act, which act he is talking about, which provision he is talking about, I do not know. So basically, let me talk about Aadhaar on this. So Aadhaar is given to the residents, right? So definition of residents is, so anyone who is residing in our country from last 1 or 2 days in a year, he or she becomes eligible to enroll for Aadhaar, right? So that means all the citizens are already entitled to obtain an Aadhaar. In addition, those foreigners who are legally residing in our country from last 1 year, they can also enroll for Aadhaar. Recently, there was an amendment done wherein the NRIs, so Indian citizens who are residing outside, they are NRI basically. So this 182 days residency requirement for NRI is kind of done away. So whenever they come to India, maybe for visiting their parents or they are coming for as a permanent from the foreign country, so they can also enroll for Aadhaar. So NRI can enroll for Aadhaar and residents can enroll for Aadhaar, but not the OCI. Those who are not citizen of our country, they are not as of now entitled for Aadhaar. So it's a kind of a superset, and citizenship will be a subset of Aadhaar, right? All because in Aadhaar you have foreigners, you have NRIs, you have citizens. So citizens would be subset. So there is no conflict between Citizenship Act and the Aadhaar. Aadhaar is for all residents and NRIs.
Cool. Probably one last question and then we can close this. How can we imagine just one ID like Aadhaar instead of multiple ID like driving license, voter ID, gas connections, and health ID?
So,
Yes.
very good question, and this question we get from everywhere, right? So let me answer that every different ID or different scheme. So, when we say ID, actually it is a scheme. For example, if you have a PAN card, it is for filing your income tax. If it is your driving license, it is for purpose of the driving, right? So the concept of single card is not required all because see, the driving license, the purpose of driving license is to that enables you to drive the car, or election card is for giving the votes and all. But the Aadhaar as an ID becomes a kind of a on the base on which all these ID will actually reside. So if you kind of a seed Aadhaar number into these database, you become Aadhaar enabled. You can do authentication and all. So it's a platform enabled. So because every other program has different eligibility criteria. For example, you have a ration card. So for to become a ration card holder, uh, your income should be very less, and then there are certain criteria, right? So they have a different set of eligibility. Similarly, driving license, you have to be adult, you should know the driving. So they have a different eligibility criteria. So we have taken a considered kind of a view that it will not be a single card where you'll put in every information onto that, but let every other scheme have their own ID. If they want to use Aadhaar to become a integrated platform, they can use Aadhaar, right? By seeding Aadhaar number or by enrolling using Aadhaar.
Got it. So there are a couple of more questions over here, but probably we can take it on Slack. So we'll post these same questions on Slack and
So,
you can answer them there.
so if you want to take, I'm okay with answering here in case you have time. Otherwise, I'll try on Slack.
Yeah, actually we are a little over time, so it'll be better if we can answer them on Slack as well.
No issue. No issue. I'll do that. Thank you very much. Thanks
Thank
a
you
lot.
so much, sir. It was really great to know the entire enrollment process behind Aadhaar. And actually 127 crore people, it's already done and it's great to know that. Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot. Bye.